So, you have decided to take photography seriously and you've managed to pick up your first camera. Congratulations! Now, when you will have a closer look at it, you'll see that there is quite a few buttons you probably don't understand what are they for exactly. Then you maybe open up the menu and then you see that there is even more menus, even more functions. There are rules such as exposure, lighting, composition. All those things can be overwhelming, especially if you put them all together. So today, we will try to make everything quick and simple as that. Alright, so how are we going to take you from the point of absolute zero in photography to some decent results such as this one, or this one in no time? Well, you see, there are loopholes in the system. If we're gonna start right from the beginning, in order to get the final results, there are two things that has to be done. First, it's taking the picture, and the second, editing it. Let's talk about taking the picture first. This is the part where your camera comes in, because this is really the shortcut to simplify the things. You see, nowadays the cameras are smart enough to do most of the heavy lifting for you, and this is what we are going to rely on. For the sake of this video, we are using the A6000. This is an 8 years old camera, but it's still intelligent and reliable enough to provide very good results. That's a good news for you, because you don't really need anything expensive. You basically need just something that shoots RAW. So what we are about to do now is setting up your camera for the general purposes that will serve you 99% of the time. The first thing we would like to set up is the aperture priority setting. You'll find this option right here on this small circle. Make sure this setting is placed on A, which stands for aperture priority. What this does is the camera does still everything automatic apart from one thing, which is the aperture. And the aperture, you can set it up for yourself. The lower the aperture, the more background blur you will achieve. So for start, we want to go as slow as we can. Next thing to set up will be the ISO. Again, we'll go for auto. However, you can set up the limits, the minimum and the maximum ISO. It's good to remember that the higher you go with the ISO, the more noise, grain you'll introduce in your pictures. So obviously we want to retain the highest quality possible, so we'll set up some limits. And this depends on the age of your camera. In general, I wouldn't go above 10,000. Once we have this, we go for white balance. And for the white balance, again, we'll be choosing auto. This basically means that the camera will automatically for you choose which is the proper white. And it does a pretty good job, because you can see the conditions are changing. Sometimes it's warmer, sometimes it's colder, and this impacts also the tone of the image. Next thing we'll set up is the focus. And we'll go from manual to autofocus. To be more specific, continuous autofocus. Another important thing to set up is RAW. Make sure that you are shooting RAW instead of JPEGs. The reason behind it is because RAW gives you much more room to operate in the post-production. Alright, now when we have all of these settings dialed into the camera, we are pretty much ready to go. If you don't understand exactly what each setting does, don't worry about it. This is what we discussed at the beginning, and this is the cheat code that we are going to be using. Let the camera help you. Let it do the job where it can, and focus on the things that the camera cannot do for you, such as taking the picture itself, focusing on the composition, trying to tell the story with your photos. The only thing that you have to worry about from the technical part is pressing the shutter. In theory, it sounds good, right? So let's have some real world scenario. We'll take our camera outside and we'll see how it performs. Let's go. And we are back. Welcome to Pol da Serra in Madeira. As you can see, the place is more than appropriate enough for our little experiment. We have our Sony friend with us. Now we'll take a couple of pictures to see how it actually performs, so we have some evidence, and most importantly, we have the materials for the editing part of this video. Let's go! Pictures are done, welcome to the editing phase. Now I must admit I skipped a little bit ahead. The photos that you could see in the previous B-roll were already edited. I'm about to show you how you can achieve those edits, or basically any other edit, without the previous knowledge, skills or experience in editing in Lightroom, and it's gonna take you less than a minute to be done. First things first, we're gonna open the Lightroom. Then we'll need to import our footage. Once we have this done, we'll go to this section, Discover. This will bring us to the page where you can see the work and edits of the other photographers. Your job is going to be to find the edit that you like. By some coincidence, we are able to find a guy named Mikula, who has very identical picture with ours. Let's assume that we like the edit. Let's open the edit. And now on the right side of the screen, you can see the option Save as a preset. Click on it and make sure that all the other options are selected and then go Save. Now we will go back to previously imported footage, find the picture that you like, go into the basic options, presets, and apply the preset you just saved by clicking on it. Boom! All it's done. Now you have a professional pictures with the professional edit, and it took you maybe less than 10 minutes. You're welcome. So is that it? All you have to do is just set up your camera, run around, take a couple of pictures and then slap on the presets? Obviously not. But the main reason we are doing it this way is simply to keep you in the game. I remember back in the time when I was starting the photography and when I went to shoot first time, it turned out to be a major disappointment for me. I was disappointed in myself, I was disappointed in my camera. To be honest, I wanted to sell it after that photo shoot. So I put the camera in the shelf and I didn't touch it for 2 months. Basically the point of this is keeping you in game. Because this way I can pretty much guarantee you that if you go out and you shoot 100 pictures, there is going to be at least one that's gonna look decent. And if you're gonna scroll over the edits and you'll find one that you like, it can look very good. This is something that's gonna make you happy just after the first photo shoot, and it's gonna motivate you to go outside and shoot more. And the only way how you can stay in the game for a long term is to enjoy it. So that's why we are doing this. So with that being said, my name is Felipe Mikula. I hope I could help and you learned something today. And now it's up to you. Go out, take your pictures, enjoy, and I look forward to see you in the next one. Ciao!